Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Coach Holt joins as he does each and every Wednesday and Friday. Coach, I know you're sipping out of a pretty sweet cup, man. I got to see that thing right next to your right arm.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah,
oh, look at that.
Coffee, tea, whatever. There's a booster club deal from Union High School. My nephew was over there and sold me that. It's a good cup, though.
That's nice. So does it actually make stuff taste better, or is it just kind of cool?
It's just kind of cool. I mean, it keeps things hot or cold, just a typical cup. It's hard plastic, but it's a good cup, man, especially what it says on the side of it. That makes it even better,
All right, so let's dive into last night's game. The Rockies are terrible. We know that.
Yep.
But as you say all the time, Coach, they have major league players, and you saw Dave take two bullpen pitchers out last night, both Anthony Bonda and Kirby Yates, before they got the third out. So you saw a big sense of urgency from Dave. We'll kind of get into that here in a minute. But I just kind of felt like last night, especially, each park has their own nuances, which makes it hard to win there, which is why it's hard to win on the road sometimes. But
yep.
I just thought last night goes to show just how hard it is actually to win major league games, even against terrible teams.
And we've talked several times about this. I don't think there's any nuclear physics going on or brain surgery going on in your case. Even on the high school level, even lower level, all the way up to the greatest players in the world, it's hard to be great at It's hard to be good at baseball. Nobody dominates the game. We know that. No individuals, no teams. Nobody dominates the game. And it's the same way as Major League. You mentioned that. We've talked about it several times. The Rockies, I have no idea who these cats are. Who knows? They may be it's like when Matt Olson was with the A's. When that name Matt Olson, the Braves kid, when he's with the A's, we go down to Texas to watch a game in the new stadium, and all of a sudden this guy hits one 450 feet. I go, he's got 26 home runs. He's a dude. I had no clue who this guy was, because I wasn't following the A's at the time. So every team has those kids at their big league level. As a baseball purist, I hate what they're going through their record. It doesn't affect my life one way or the other. The Dodgers, I get it, but you hate kids going through that. But on the other hand, they have to learn and go through it. We just saw a great example of that. Colorado's a beautiful ballpark. I've been there several times. We know the ball flies out there, what have you, but. That they never quit last night. It's a good sign for them. I know it's one of 162, and I don't follow them enough to know, but I know they've pulled off some wins here lately, actually. They've had a little bit of success probably in the last 10 or 50, which isn't saying a whole lot because it was so horrible before that, but good win for the Dodgers.
It was a good win for the Dodgers last night, especially just the way it came. The Rockies got ahead early, and then they scored late and that kind of deal, and the Dodgers had to keep scoring. They had to keep scoring all the way through the end of the game, something we haven't seen. Sometimes the Dodgers don't do that. So I'm going to say this. Everybody has that day. Coach Chappell, who's in the OSSA Hall of Fame, he was an All-Stater. He played at OU, all that kind of stuff. Just an absolute stud shortstop. Made 5 errors in 1 inning. Okay, so, I've seen it happen to the greatest of players. I got to say, I know he's an opponent, but I felt terrible for Michael Toglia. It just kind of felt like that Bill Buckner moment. 2 or 3 different times. He's a great player. He can hit. He's the last one that wanted to make those errors. He feels worse than everybody else. So although he's an opponent, I want to get out there. Been there, done that. I'm sure you have too, Coach. I've seen it with my own eyes so many different times. Wanted to say I felt terrible for him. Yeah,
I'm the guy who you mentioned, John Chappell. His older brother, Jeff. They had to put him at third base because Tony here made too many freaking errors. So Coach Max Townsend there at Guthrie, the old Gelsma Stadium before it became Squires Field. Coach Townsend, Max Townsend, our great coach at the Blue Jays in 70, decided Tony would look a lot better in left field. He put Jeff Chappell third, and Jeff did a great job at third. We rode all the way to state semis. Should have won it, but anyway, that had been another story. But so yes, we've all been there of having those days. I had a horrible day, and that was pretty much it because Jeff needed to play. He was a good player. As you said, we feel for the kid.
100%. Hey, here's one of the concerns. I think the Dodgers are going to be okay. We saw Dave manage with a sense of urgency last night because that first game in a series is big, in a 3-game series. If you win that first one, you're gonna win the series. I don't know. Probably 75-80% of the time, especially if you're the better team, and especially if there's as big of a gap as there is between the Dodgers and the Rockies. So I felt like Dave managed like this is a big game. Let's get the first one out of the way. That way, maybe we can go a little bit big picture for down the road. I don't know that, but I'll say this. Playing in Colorado, that altitude is real, okay? And it's not just winning the game at hand. What it does to you after 3 days of standing on your feet and running around in the altitude, like that fourth day when you go somewhere else, even if you come back home, you're totally exhausted. So the Dodgers have had this big, long, grueling stretch. And although on paper it's the Rockies and it looks like it should be an easy series, you're dealing with 3 days worth of altitude. You're dealing with a lot of runs. You're dealing with standing on your feet a lot. Here's my question to you. Do you big picture this for the rest of the series and make sure that you stay fresh, you don't let the Coors Field and the altitude linger into maybe the next 2 or 3 games after this series, or you just say to hell with it and you win one game at a time?
I would say to hell with it, you win one game at a time, because it's like I said, Casey, we've gotten older. You're a lot hell of a lot younger than me, but you know what I'm saying.
A lot prettier too, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Sure, a hell of a lot prettier than me. I'll go with that. But as you've gotten older, you got to. And I know these guys know this. This isn't nothing. Everybody knows this. You worry about things you can control. You can't control the altitude in Denver, and you've got to go play there. Same way in football, when teams roll there to play the Broncos, and our OSU teams when they go to Boulder to play, there's an adjustment there. You can't do anything about it. Like you said, you could tell by the guys that Dave used last night. He's not taking this game for granted. He's already proven to me and everybody else, especially us Dodger dog lovers, he's going to do whatever it takes. This is the guy that threw a bullpen game in the freaking playoffs and did it in the World Series. It wasn't because he wanted to. He didn't want to throw a bullpen game. He had to. That's why he did it. Same way here. He brought some leverage arms in last night. He could see
all
here comes the Rockies. They're young. They're excited. They're playing the world champions. They've got a little bit probably more juice in their step. I don't know how many fans they draw there. I'm sure they got more. Most of them are probably Dodger fans. They're probably playing from a bigger crowd. They got a chance to come back, beat the world champions. You're not holding back anything. You can tell by the arms that he ran out there. That he was. We've got to win this game. Scott ends up getting the save there, and he went with the guys who are leverage guys who you normally see all year long. So when you see the other side of it, when you see the Matt Stowers taking one for the ages, when you see those guys that come in that end up just having to kill innings, he's not doing that because he wants to. He's doing it because he has to, because it's what's best and what's needed for the ball club. So there's nothing here. I think he's going to try to win every day he walks in there and puts his uniform on in the clubhouse, just like the players. And your body adjusts to it. I think a lot of teams used to go in there early. If they're going to play the Broncos, they might show up on Monday.
Or do something with their starters, keep their starters back, their starting pitchers back.
People always have a plan for that. I know Dave Roberts and the Dodgers, they forgot more about this game and how to run a ball club than I ever knew. So I know they've got plans for everything. So it's great to see that they bring those arms in. They went for it, Yates and Banda. all the guys that you're normally going to see.
Vesia.
And Vesia has to come in. They get a strikeout to end the inning and close her out with Scott. So they wasn't taking anything for granted. Like I said, you got a bunch of young, fresh-faced kids over there. Hey, we can beat the world champs.
Yeah.
We got a big crowd for us. Hey, there's the Rocky Mountains. I can get a cold Coors Light afterward. Hell, there's a lot of good things in Denver, Colorado, especially when there's a baseball game and the Dodgers are in town.
Okay, man. Jack Dreyer got the open start, whatever you want to call it, 1 inning, 1 run. He's been giving up some runs lately, so I know Dodgers fans are going to start maybe thinking about, hey, where's Jack Dreyer at in this rotation? Is he part of the A team, B team? Where does he sit? So I kind of want to put some perspective on Jack Dreyer. Very typical for young pitchers as far as what he's done. So in May, it was great, 2.70 ERA. April, 3.86. Not ridiculous bad, but not great. May was great again, 2.08. And now June is that exact same 3.86. So what you're seeing right here is that roller coaster. I don't know that, Jack Dreyer's blasted his way onto the scene. He's had success at every level. I don't know that we can ask any more out of him, though. The up and down is just something I think you had to expect from a rookie.
Yeah, you just got to live with that with the young kids because they don't have the experience to fall back on. Basically everything he's doing is on the major league level, and that's his first time to do it at this point. Whatever the case may be, the lineup he's seeing, the game plan, how you attack hitters, blah, 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 whatever is it, the stuff we don't know about and we don't have any privy to. But so, yeah, you can see that up and down with the kids. We saw a little bit of that. You've always seen that with some kids that Dodgers have brought up, and now some of them are solid major leaguers. And, I think they like him. Obviously, he's getting starts. He's still there. So I think they like the guy, and he's going to, you like to see him going farther than one, but I don't know that maybe that was a dang plan the whole time. You got Wrobo sitting there; he's already proven he can give you some length. So on his touches, so that's. I don't think they're going to give up on Girard. The numbers speak for themselves, but it's also not a 6.8 ERA. 3.86.
No, he's been anywhere from good to really good this year. It's just been kind of one of those deals. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just up and down. I think it's something the Dodgers got to live with.
Yeah. Well, if you start sending these guys down every time they hit a dip, they're going to start being afraid to fail, which is the absolute worst. I think we definitely saw that with James Outman, no doubt about that. So Justin Robleski, I tell you what, man, you got to be impressed with this dude. He's worked so hard to refine the mix. Well, we had the conversation over the offseason, talked to him earlier this year in Oklahoma City, how he's tried to make his secondaries be effective enough to where it makes his fastball even better. No doubt about that last night. How about this, Coach? The cutter for Justin Robleski, here's the secondaries. First of all, the fastball hit 99, and it was in zone 64%, which is just absolutely awesome, okay? And the spin was over 2,600. Anything over 2,300, that thing's riding pretty hard, so that's great, okay? But the secondaries, here's the key for Wrobo. In zone, cutter, 57%, sinker, 79%, slider, 57%. So his cutters were in zone enough to where he could either steal strikes with them to get back to his very great fastball, or they were in zone enough to where they were beating hitters on weak contact, or they're in zone enough to where they could set up the next secondary to go back foot slider like we saw or curveball, whatever it is, like we saw on the last pitch he threw. I know he gave up a couple of runs, but this is the best version of Justin Robleski. I hope he doesn't change a thing. He just needs opportunity. He needs to continue to get touches and just stay with exactly what he's doing right now. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. Case, of course, he's one of our favorites, being a Cowboy, but now he's a Dodger, so he's definitely one of our favorites. But the point being, like you said, I think he's gotten 4 innings in every outing. He's at least 4 innings in every outing. So he's giving you length every time he takes the field. I guess he's 3-2 now. I could almost argue those 2 losses were games he could have won. I think at least one of them he left with a lead, if I'm not mistaken. So, he has had some quality starts for the Dodgers. He's had a few rough moments here, but we see him every time he takes the mound getting better, in my opinion, getting better. As far as, like you said, the stats you're throwing out there are amazing right there. This is a guy, when you walk up there as a hitter, believe me, the opponents have this crap too. They're going, hey, you can't just set fastball in this guy. He's got a hell of a spin rate. It's pretty damn good fastball, but you can't just set on it because he land the other stuff. That goes back to the art of pitching, man. If I can throw backwards, I can start you out the freaking breaking pitch and get ahead in the count. Your best pitch in baseball, strike one. That sort of thing, that's never going to change in the history of baseball, no matter how many analytics you have. Best pitch in baseball, strike one. Go look at the batting averages when the hitter's got 0-1 on them.
No doubt.
Or 0-2, 1-2. Go look at the batting averages on that compared to 2-0, 3-1. This isn't rocket science. It's all out there. It's right there in black and white. So we're seeing, he has been solid as nails for the Dodgers. He's come in like this after a starter didn't go very far. And Robleski's been able to come in and give you length. And not just length. Sauer gave you length, but he's getting batted around some. He gave you a hell of a lot of length.
Sure.
He's getting killed. He just had to eat those innings because he's a hell of a man.
And Wrobo's had to do that before, too.
That's right. Wrobo ain't getting hammered around. He's getting in there. Not only is he giving you length, but the ball club's able to win with him out there. Like I said, I don't know exactly right in front of me. I know he's 3-2. He could damn sure almost be 5-0 if I remember correctly. Those other 2 starts where he got losses, where he actually gave you a chance to win. They were close games. I'm not saying that. He didn't have a big lead when he left. It wasn't one of those deals, but he could easily win those 2. So, but the stats you're throwing out there now and his secondary stuff, then you come back with a 99 with a 2,600 spin rate. Get out of here. I mean, that's quality, big time major league stuff.
Well, Coach, his first outing with Los Angeles this year on April 8th, he threw 5 innings and gave up 8 runs. Okay, his third outing. So then he had a good outing the next time out, 4 innings, no runs. His third outing, he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. So the first 2 out of 3 outings were not good. So that's why it's hard for me to take his ERA or any of his stats really kind of seriously.
Gotcha.
Because when you're going up, down like that and you have one bet, it's like a reliever. If you give up 4 or 5 runs in a 2/3 of an inning, it takes you 3 months to get your ERA back in line. So I would rather throw out the outliers,
Gotcha.
which If you look at his last 3 outings, Coach, 4.1 innings, 5 innings, okay? So that is 14.1 innings, grand total of 4 runs for Justin Robleski. And in that time, he has 15 strikeouts, just 2 walks. So, like I said, Justin Robleski definitely has found his best version, just needs to continuing on. Another guy last night that did not make it through his inning was Kirby Yates. Again, didn't finish his inning, but I wanted to give some perspective on him. Since he's come back from his injury, just a 2.25 ERA. So nothing to worry about on the Kirby Yates front. I don't, at least not for me.
No, that happens. It's Major League Baseball. Young, talented kids that are fired up playing in Colorado. I mean, you don't worry about one. You know, Scott. Everybody's ready to get rid of Scott early in the year. You know, he's struggling. We already know how quality he is. You look at Robleski. I was thinking as you was reading, I was talking about his starts. You know, with the situation the Dodgers are in, the injury front with their pitching, Robleski's just what the doctor, or in this case, Doc.
Yes.
I mean, he's what the Dodgers. You see Dreyer. What Dreyer's doing this year, that was Robleski some last year.
Mm-hmm.
He come up, got some touches. He was up and down. We were seeing that. Now you're seeing Robleski getting enough touches, getting enough sample size, and getting enough experience that he just continues to get better the more he gets out there. You know, and again, I'm no major league manager and never even claimed to be, or just a guy who loves the Dodgers and coached a little high school Legion ball. But that guy is giving the Dodgers. You know, there's a reason why the Dodgers are still in the lead when our hair is on fire with the pitching staff with the injuries. If you look at that, first, the main reason they got the best offense in baseball. You know, and the Dodgers lately have had to throw up some big innings. They didn't have to. They kind of did have to throw up some big innings. Was it Sunday we were no hit going in the 5th? After 5 ended up scoring 13. Yeah, ended up scoring 13 runs. That's what I'm talking about. Muncy, had started taking BP out there, hitting the BP pitcher every time he could. But anyway, the Dodgers have that capability. So we talked about this so many times. You always have that to fall back on, knowing you got a great offense. You know, with one of the greatest hitters possibly, and continuing on of all time with Ohtani up there at top, one of the greatest athletes and baseball players could be. And he's not done yet, so he's still got a lot to prove. So, but
hey, by the way, Ohtani hit the opposite field home run yesterday. Maybe we're not as dumb as we look.
I know, and I know. I watched that video several times. It's like you said, he did not pull off that ball. Yes, no. dude, he's such a freak. He's such an outstanding player. If he makes solid contact, it don't matter where the hell he hits it. Yeah. Got a chance of going in. It's going
just
to be
stay on
hard.
it. Let the ball get deep. Stay on it. Don't pull off of it. That's kind of my point. Your point.
Yep. It's going to be hit hard, no matter, because that's him. Not everybody can say that. I haven't been there. I get to watch him Friday night in Kansas City. We're going to the game in Kansas City Friday night, so I get to watch him then. But I haven't been in the stadium to hear. I'm sure it sounds differently coming off Shohei's bat than it does anybody else's. I have not seen him play live since he's been with the Dodgers, so I'm really looking forward to that Friday night.
Yeah, he's the one where the scout just falls asleep while he's hitting, and then all of a sudden hears it and wakes up. Well, I can't remember what movie that was, but that was awesome.
Yes.
I can't. Like I said, I think it was not Robert Rudd. Anyways, we'll move on from that. Okay, so Michael Conforto had the home run on the double last night. So that's an awesome night, but yet this month he's hitting 140. It's just this conundrum. So where are we at with him? How long is the leash? I know we're beating this dead horse over and over and over, but it's worth talking about, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it is. And like I said, I got the ultimate faith in the front office and Dave Roberts and staff and the people that have to keep track of stuff like that know all the information we're talking about. And ultimately, they're going to be the ones, if there's a tough decision to be made, they're going to have to make it. But, you got to believe, I think they've got to have a plan there. I mean, I know obviously you've got a long leash. We love the guy when he picked him up. It's a great pickup. I still love the guy. Mm-hmm. But, that's great. That's great, except this is Major League Baseball, and you got to perform, you got to produce, that sort of thing is what we've talked about with some other players we've seen. So he's definitely had a long leash, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think the organization they put their trust in him. They keep seeing, maybe they're seeing something in BP going, dang, this guy's so damn good. We got to keep running him out there, and seeing something. But
$17 million is what they're seeing, I think.
Yeah, but then yes, exactly. But what me and you used to say, for a 6 o'clock game, we always had those 4 o'clock All-Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, even in American Legion high school ball, you got guys that look great in the cage that can't do anything in the game, and vice versa. You got horrible practice players that go 3 for 4 every time they walk out on the field. So there's that. But the Dodgers seeing something, no matter what happens there, I mean, at least that guy being a proven major leaguer was giving a fair shot. Mm-hmm. He would never say, well, hell, didn't get a chance. Come on. I mean, he knows.
Yeah,
he knows.
Sure.
The Dodgers know. And I don't know the guy. I know Marty Lee's a friend of mine and yours, coached him. Oregon State, love the guy. He's a great player, great guy. And so I base it off of that. Somebody who knows him personally, that he's a great baseball man, great guy. So, but, results, this is a results-based business.
Sure is.
At every level. So we'll see where the Dodgers go from here. And I'm not going to beat the guy up, but, hitting 140 in a month and you've been under 200 all year, they may have to make a tough decision as we get closer to the trade deadline or something. They might need to make a move there. Obviously, if you're looking at that, hell, they need some pitching, but I don't know what they think they're, I don't have it in front of me. I know a lot of these guys are getting ready to get back around the All-Star game as far as to get them back, but also is that factor we don't know how they're going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get them back, but they don't always come back as good as they were before. Some do, some don't. Some are better than they were before. So,
and then it might take him like 2 months, like it did Walker Buehler. You don't know how long it'll take. Yeah,
absolutely. There's the unknowns that no doctor, the greatest doctors and surgeons and athletic trainers and therapists, physical therapists can't tell you that. Everybody's different on their recovery. So, I'm pulling for Michael Conforto too, just like you. But every time you look at a box score, you just.
Yeah.
We got some other guys that need to pick it up some. I know Mookie's been struggling a little. His average is going down. Freddie's been struggling, but you know what you got there, and you anticipate them being where they need to be. Tommy Edman, same way. He's coming. He's getting back into the groove. And so
hit the ball up the middle again.
Yes, that's his game.
That's what we need from Tommy. Yeah, but hit that thing right over the pitcher's head
every freaking time. So that's what I mean. I think we feel confident about where we have with those guys. They're not falling off the face of the earth. Muncy was struggling early. Now look at him. He's up to where he's normally at, 246.
Yeah.
Run producer doing his thing. Teo's his doing his thing.
Big hit last night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's doing his thing, 260. As you look at their career numbers and what they have been, they are what they have been. And I was thinking the same thing with Ohtani. He has his struggles here. And 27 home runs. What the hell am I talking about here? Outside of Cal Raleigh, that's a great story up in Seattle, that cat.
No doubt.
32 bombs. But anyway, outside of him, you got just a few guys capable of doing that sort of thing. So the Dodgers are fine there. But, I hate it. I hate it for him personally, but the ball club something's going to have to, I think, probably change there.
Yeah, I fought you on Max Muncy. You kept saying, we need to get him to get up to his average, what he normally does, like 250, 242. I was like, hell, he ain't getting to that. I'll take 220. And here he is, man. Yeah. Here he is. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing about him and Will Smith that I love. This in the modern day, and again, I'm not against analytics whatsoever, but I can play both sides, right? I mean, I can say screw analytics, or I can also say, well, I like spin rate. So trust me, this isn't the grumpy old man, get off my lawn thing. But I'll say this, the difference between Max Muncy and Will Smith right now, with them going good, they're taking their hits.
Yes.
They're not trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark like we see Max Muncy do sometimes. Because people are like, well, as long as he just hits home runs. No, actually what we need from Max Muncy is at least somewhat of a good hitter, and the way that you can tell that his focus, not just the results, the focus is just to get hits. To be a good hitter for Max Muncy right now is when he gets to that high pitch. Because when he's trying to hit home runs, he fouls that thing off straight back. So him and Will Smith, from a mentality perspective, they're taking their hits. And I know they're in the middle of the lineup and they're in there to drive in runs and to slug. I love the fact that their focus is to take their hits right now.
And let's face it, we got a leadoff hitter with 27 bombs. So
yes.
The pressure's off them a little bit about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. No, I think you're spot on there, Case, with those two guys. And as we talked about, as you look here in the last week or so, I don't keep those numbers in front of me, but just off memory, the last week or so, the Dodgers have had those big innings. I'll always go back and look at the inning if I missed it. It's a base hit. It's a base hit, base hit, double, triple, base hit with guys in scoring position, which we know they're the best. I haven't had the numbers that we were at the top of the major leagues as far as runners in scoring position. May still be. But so you're seeing not only these two guys are making an art out of it, of getting base hits. There's times they can both hit out. Wilkin hit out of a ballpark. He's already had some big home runs, walk off.
But it's not because he's trying to. It's because he got the pitch up in the air, the hit up in the air, and it went.
Yeah, he can do that. We know Max can hit. He's a 30 home run guy. We get all that. But they're also base hit guys. And I think they're getting older. Not where they're losing their skill. I'm not saying that, but the more maturity, we'll go back to the same thing. The more they play, they're watching video, they're working every day to try to make themselves better with the best version. Just get base hits. Like I said, our leadoff hitter can hit some home runs. Teo, whatever. We got people up down the lineup that can do that. Mookie's going to come around. I think we know that. Freddie was killing it. He's leveled off a little bit. That happens every season to everybody. He's going to get hot again. He's going to get back in the groove. It's not like he's totally disappeared. So we know with the Hall of Fame players that we have up, especially those top three in the order, the Hall of Famers. So, you know what you got there. So these two guys, Smith's been solid the entire year. I mean, he was last year. I think he wore down some of the dog days. Mm-hmm. We'll see moving forward as we get into hotter weather. I know it's all over the country.
Dalton Rushing.
The East Coast. It's really bad on the East Coast. I hope we don't go there very.
That's where Dalton Rushing plays his role.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when Dalton Rushing is going to earn his money. And that's going to be maybe the biggest role of the year for us. Because last year, we were able to get Will some rest, and he was solid in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, he went through the dog days and got some rest, blah, blah, blah. We were able to get some of Austin Barnes, who did a great job there as far as spelling him off. But, Rushing gives you a little bit more. Young guy that's got some potential to get some base hits and can do some things. So that, like you said, that's his role is going to come into view more and more here, especially the next few months. Like I said, I don't know what our schedule looks like. I hope we're not going east. So it was 101 New York City yesterday. It's nuts. I hope it cools off for me and Rex go to Fenway in July. But what's it done? Yeah.
It's interesting with all the action last night. In a certain way, you could evaluate the game where Michael Tolia makes the error to lead off the whatever inning it was where the Dodgers scored the 5 or 6 runs.
6.
And then in the 9th inning, Max Muncy leads the 9th inning off with a great play at third base. So instead of giving the other team, it's almost like a leadoff walk whenever you make an error. You're giving them a freebie to start an inning. The Dodgers were the exact opposite. That goes back to that as great as the offense was and as good as Wrobo was and the way that Dave managed aggressively, as great as all that was, still goes back to those margins. The Dodgers made the plays in the situations of the games where they needed to. The Rockies didn't. And as big of a difference as there is in talent between these two, it still comes down to that a lot of times at the major league level, those margins like that. I just find that fascinating.
Same thing. I mean, you see it all the time. You hear football coaches talk about it. You can watch just the NBA Finals here just recently that ended. Usually the team with the most turnovers got their ass beat. 7 games.
Regardless of talent.
The teams are very even. Whoever made the most turnovers got beat, usually whatever the case may be. You see it in football all the time. Turnover is always a big equalizer. It's the same thing here. Mistakes. Like you said, that's the other part we didn't mention about Muncy. Big improvement as a third baseman, too.
No doubt.
We knew he had a chance of doing that. He's not stupid. He's a Major League Baseball player that works at his craft on the daily, like they all do. So, like you said, I think he had 2 really good plays last night.
2 very nice plays, yes.
He has an error pop up every now and then, but hell, they all do. That happens. Everybody has an occasional error right now. We're not seeing, I don't think, as many out of him. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I may be totally off, but just from me watching the games and seeing, hey, that's a hell of a play,
Yeah.
It's, like I said, he had 2 of them last night. So that's, and the Dodgers, we know they got a great defensive team. Look at our outfielders, Pajes, has a great arm and a big time plus arm. And so, they give every phase. That's why the Dodgers just look around. We piss them on about their pitching, and so-and-so's not hit ball. You look up and they're still up 3.5, 4 games in the toughest division in baseball. Let's just say it. You know, the Padres and the Giants are outstanding teams right on their heels. So, and they're not
D-backs are scary.
Yeah, so you still
and
have
it's not easy to play in Colorado, and that's part of your division.
Yes, everybody's got to go there. But you know, what you're doing, you know, that's why you're still able to hold on. I don't say it's even holding on. The Dodgers just keeping moving and keeping going. They're staying where they are, even with the, you know, annihilation of the pitching staff. You know, we've seen this before, and that goes back to several things. You know, your managers and pitching coaching, your organization handling, you know, the pitching staff and fixing what they can, doing what they have to do. Again, you know, you throw guys out there, you know, or bullpen game, whatever the hell you got to do. But like I said, that's where you look around. They're waking up this morning drinking coffee in Colorado. Yeah. They got to be talking about Robleski's been big time for us.
Yeah,
they
sure
know
has.
that. Hell, I'm not. They know it.
Climbing that trust tree.
He continually to climb that trust tree because you know he had some good touches last year, but he was up and down, kind of like Jim with Dryer. You know, but I think you're seeing. I hope we're seeing the evolution of Justin Robleski, where he's just
called the eureka moment, Coach.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. I think we're just seeing the evolution of this guy where the light goes on. 99-mile-an-hour fastball, 2,640 spin rate. Give me a break.
I'm good.
That's a guy we want in Dodger blue.
Yeah, especially when you're throwing that many strikes with your secondary. So, man, it's you know it's getting ready to be the dog days of summer, Coach. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Get to talk about last night's game, a little bit of big picture stuff. And by the way, we have a big down the farm. We have all the action over the weekend. Jackson Ferris. We got Matt Sauer through last night. We've got Patrick Copen, who's been getting a lot of national spotlight and a lot of just great action. So stick around for the Down the Farm, Coach. Hey, it's been great to see you. You know I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, Case. It's always great to be on here with you and to see your face and talk to you. And basically, anytime we talk about the Dodgers is great, but it's even better when I get to see you and talk to you. So I look forward to our next time. Again, thank you to our Dodger dogs out there. They're the best, most knowledgeable, the best fans in the world anywhere. And I'll see a bunch of them. I'll see a bunch of you guys Friday night in Kansas City, I hope.
So with that, let's not waste more time. Let's take a trip down the farm. Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. So glad you decided to stick around for the prospect talk. And as we do each and every show, we're going to start in Rancho. We have a huge show today, so please stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about these prospects. Starting in Rancho, we're going to start with Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas has been one of those pitchers in Rancho. You know, we've talked about Sean Paulignon, Christian Zazueta, and then, you know, you have the relievers like Ryan Brown, Alex Makarowicz was there for a minute. So the pitching staff has been fantastic for Ramon Troncoso and Brandon Bailey. By the way, Mark got a chance to talk to Brandon Bailey whenever he went to Rancho, so we're going to release that interview here in a couple of days. But Cruz has been simply fantastic. He doesn't throw all that hard, but he is very, very smooth. 2 innings pitched on Sunday, 2 hits, no runs, no walks. That's the thing about these young guys is that they throw strikes. They put the ball in the zone. They use the stuff to make the game boring. They play the odds. Hey, the odds are that 70% of the time, if the guy in front of you is really good, they're going to get outs. And especially if you're good like Nicholas Cruz is. So I wanted to highlight Nicholas Cruz and talk about the great year that he is having down at Rancho Rancho Cucamonga. It'll be interesting to see what the Dodgers do with him and how long it takes him to make it up to high A Great Lakes. So we'll see how that goes. So another guy that I want to talk about is Jiren Elkins. Jiren Elkins is a young man that is having really about the last month and a half, he's really blasted onto the scene. So he was part of the championship last year at the complex, moved up to single A this year, struggled a little bit. I wouldn't say struggle is the right word, but I'll say this. He's really come on here in the last month and a half. He had 2 hits on Sunday, third 2-hit game in a row, 5 multi-hit games in his last 6 for Jiren Elkins, and he's hitting .333 this month with an OPS of .970. So like we said, 42 stolen bases, by the way, and it has been claimed by some of the opposing play-by-play guys that he is the fastest guy in the California League. I know Mike Linskog has said that too. So 42 stolen bases for Jiren Elkins, 15 this month. He's maybe the fastest player in New York and one of the strongest. You can see right there, lots of power, very explosive young man. So lots to like about Jiren Elkins. There's no doubt about that. So as we're going to just go ahead and move on up to single A, because the deal is with Mark covering we're going to move up to high A. Mark went and covered Rancho. We're going to get more into them on Thursday when we talk to Mark. He's going to have all the down the farm, get really in detail about Rancho. So we're going to move up to high A Great Lakes. This is Kyle Nevin. I've been telling you for a while. Of course, Nevin had to deal with injuries, got back about a month ago, and he has been fantastic. You can see how long he is. That's actually Mike Ceroda there, but look how long Kyle Nevin is. Very tall, long young man, which means he has a bigger strike zone, but it also means he has longer levers. So when he gets those levers out and he gets them out front of everything and everything syncs up, you can see the amount of power that he has. But the thing he does, his calling card to me, he stays inside the ball. See those levers, those long levers when he actually gets out on the ball. I love that. Fort Wayne is just a big-time atmosphere. One of the best minor league facilities, atmospheres of any level at minor league baseball. So long levers for Kyle Nevin, stays inside the ball very well. And I'm going to say it again, as scouting reports continue to get more accurate, I think so will his swing decisions. And when that happens, I think his inside to out approach will continue to even get better. I think he'll become a better hitter as he moves up levels for that reason. So very excited about the return. I guess it's not the return now because it's been about a month for Kyle Nevin, but just how great that he has been playing for High Great Lakes. And then young man who's always been great, Shoemaker, who Mark Watkins got to talk to an interview. We're going to release Shoemaker's interview as well. The manager for John Shoemaker, the manager for Rancho, went on and on about Mike Ceroda, who has had just a simply fantastic year this year. There's no doubt about that. Ceroda had a home run on Sunday, 3 hits. That's his 5th home run that you're seeing here, 2 RBIs. He walked once and he scored a run. So talk about a nightmare for the other team. So how about this? Mike Ceroda is hitting .349. His OPS is 1112. OPS is 1112. That's not the most impressive stat for Mike Ceroda. For me, the most impressive stat for Mike Ceroda is that his WRC plus is 191. A 191 WRC plus, a OPS over 1100. You just can't say enough great things about just how awesome Mike Ceroda has been. Another one of those hitters, you see him, just like Kyle Nevin, stays inside the baseball very, very well. So that means he allows the ball to get very deep, which means he has longer to judge where the ball is going to be, read spin, location, all those kinds of things. So Mike Ceroda has been fantastic. Another young man who has been fantastic as well is definitely Josue de Paula. 2 hits for Great Lakes, 12th double. Just kind of flicked his wrist on it. Actually, let me get to the correct hits right here. Watch this. Just flick the wrist out there. I mean, I'm going to show that again. Lets the ball get deep and just last moment just kind of flicks the wrist out there. No body movement at all. And then just hammers it off the wall. So to do that takes an incredible amount of strength. It takes a lot of trust in your mechanisms. I mean, just kind of throws the wrist at it. Mechanisms to let the ball get deep, to trust yourself where you can still make contact. And then he can do this too. He can get after a pitch. Of course, he didn't hit that ball that hard. But we do know Josue de Paula's exit velos are just absolutely elite. That hit right there is just totally impressive. 278 on the year for de Paula, OPS of 889. He has hits in 3 games in a row. So Josue de Paula continues to rock and roll. And you talk about a young man who has been rocking and rolling lately. And if I can get to his screen here in just a second as I scroll, it's going to be one Mr. Eric Swan. Going to get his video up here in just a second. If I can get down to right here. Eric Swan, let's get to him and let's get to his last performance. So Eric Swan, okay, it wasn't perfect. His last inning, I mean, it wasn't efficient. He only threw 95 pitches, something like that, in 4 innings. So it wasn't efficient. Part of that is because he walked 4 guys. 2 of those came in the last inning, in the 4th inning. 2 of them came in the 1st inning. So 4 innings pitched for Eric Swan. 2 hits, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks. Again, 2 bookends. So in the first inning and the fourth inning, he had 2 walks apiece. In between the second and third, he was absolutely dominant. So gave up a triple to the third hitter of the game. That brought in one of his only 4 walks for the first run of the game. So execution wasn't perfect this last time out, but the sweeper was big time. You see a slider right there. He liked to throw that sweeper to the back foot of the lefties. Fort Wayne, give them credit, they adjusted. They stopped swinging at that pitch, and then Eric Swan had to make an adjustment. They started throwing a slider instead and started throwing a slider you're seeing here for fastballs to get the last hitter out. So multiple secondaries that play off his fastball, executed the slider in the last inning, although it certainly was not efficient and at all, but still a good outing for him. He continues to show just how much top-end ability that he has, talking about Eric Swan. So super excited to see him. He definitely has front of the Rolodex type of ability and potential, no doubt about that. And he's just using the minor league process to continue to stack one outing after the other and continue to refine the control and command. And hopefully that happens. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to do that because his arm's electric. And you talk about an arm that is electric. How about Maddox Bruns? Second outing back for Maddox. He had a really, really good outing. It was short, of course, for Maddox Bruns. It was 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. And the only inning he gave up a run was bad luck. I mean, it was like a dink here. The Loons could have made a play there, that kind of deal. So really, it could have been easily no runs in a lot of other outings. Threw 10 pitches in the third to retire the side. So good there. Just 1 pitch away in that third inning from an immaculate inning. Slider looked good. Fastball at the top of the zone was a pitch that he seems to be trusting more and more. But more so than anything for him, just the fact that Maddox Bruns is back. He's eating innings. He's stacking outings 2 in a row now. And he is looking really good with the fastball slider combination. So good to see Maddox Bruns back. And then now moving up to the AA level, this is a young man I had a chance to interview the other day. Going to release his interview here maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Noah Miller. And I'll say this. I didn't realize Noah Miller was as big as he is. And to be honest with you, I'd only seen him on video. And I'll say this. Video does not do justice for just how smooth and just how effortless Noah Miller, really both sides of the ball, but especially at shortstop, he ranges in just a really smooth, the transition between field to throw is just fantastic. His throws are always on the mark. So I was as impressed as I thought I was going to be with Noah Miller. I was really kind of blown away with the size and just his aura. He has really just kind of a big-time aura to him and just the smoothness of which he plays shortstop. And then the offensive side, he's having a great year. He's hitting over 300. You can see right there, the bat speed is good. There's not a whole lot of wasted motion to that. So a big time, I came away from my impressions of Noah Miller thinking he is even more big time than I thought he was going to be. So that was super exciting. So keep your eye out for Noah Miller. He had the knee injury, just got back, about a week ago. And, well, no, he got back a while ago. I don't exactly quote me on how long ago that was. And has been hitting the ball very well. So this is a young man right here, Kendall Simmons. This is a really great athlete. Another young man, I didn't realize he's as big as he is. On video, he looks like kind of one of those short, stocky guys. But he's tall, and he's really put together. Young man that the Dodgers got out of free agency in the offseason from the Phillies. He had spent all 6 years of his pro career with the Phillies. He's played mostly shortstop. The Drillers have had him play some first base, some third base, so he can play all around the infield. 2018 draft pick, originally in the 6th round, again from the Phillies. And so he has 2 multi-hit games in a row, and he has multi-hit games in three of his last 5, and he has been playing really well for the AA Tulsa Drillers. So keep your eye on a young man you maybe never heard of, Kendall Simmons, because he just came to the Dodgers this past offseason, was injured, just got off that injured list about a week ago, and here we go. He has been playing very well for AA Tulsa, and they need it because they have struggled to find runs for this team. It has been a struggle for them. Pitching has been okay, but finding runs has been tough. So one of the guys that has made the pitching so good, nice slider there, Jason Cabrera that you're seeing here. So you're seeing the slider. Now, that fastball right there has reached 100 miles an hour this year. That's to pair with the sliders that you saw. So another huge arm for the Dodgers coming up in their system, a guy that can hit 100, that has a good slider to match with that. And because of that, it's not just stuff. Now, he needs to walk fewer guys. He's had too many walks. There's no doubt about that. But the ERA for Jason Cabrera, just 117. His whip is just 113, and he's gone scoreless in 9 of his last 10 outings. So Jason Cabrera, definitely keep your eye on him. This is a guy that's flying way under the radar. You may have never heard of him. Make sure you know who Jason Cabrera is, because he is simply fantastic. Another guy who has helium in terms of his ascent through the prospect ranks. The national people have been telling you about him, or catching on to him. I've been telling you to put him in your Rolodex for a long time now. That is Patrick Copen. His last start, seems like he's gotten the day start the last 2 times. Last start on Tuesday, 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. ERA down to 2.37, 101 strikeouts in 68.1 innings. So he pitched backwards a lot. He threw his breaking ball to get ahead in counts, which means his fastball just plays up that much more. And the thing about him, he's so long and he's somewhat unpredictable that just trying to make swing decisions, you're having to guess all the time as a hitter. And when you guess wrong, he just makes you look silly. So Patrick Copen really is on helium right now in terms of the way that he is ascending through the prospect ranks. So super excited about him. And another young man, every time I go to Tulsa, all of his coaches go, that little guy right there, he's freaking good. And that is Chris Campos. So to start out his game, he gave up, you just saw it just a minute ago. Let's back that up. So he gave up this little duck fart right here, Texas leaguer, humpback liner, whatever you want to call it. Then he gave up this 19 hopper right up the middle. Nothing you can do about that as a pitcher. That is soft contact. So how did he respond to that? Fastball at the top of the zone. Fastball perfectly located right there. And then from there, he dotted. You're going to see him just kind of waste a pitch there. Not waste, but set up a pitch. Dots a fastball in the outer half. Down goes Luke, man. And then from there, he actually gave up 1 run. That was his 1 run. But that's the type of sequencing there from Chris Campos that he has come to know for. Actually, no, he did not give up any runs. So he got out of that jam. See, there's Noah Miller being very just kind of smooth right there. Got out of that jam. So he gave up the duck fart. He gave up the seeing eye single. You saw the sequence to get the first out. Got out of that jam, gave up no runs. 2.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks. That's the type of sequencing that Chris Campos has become known for. That's why a lot of people inside the system are so excited about him. And another guy that inside the system folks are getting really excited about as we move up to the AAA level, no doubt about it, Nick Frosto. Nick Frosto has been absolutely just killing it out of the bullpen. His first couple of bullpen outings weren't perfect, but like his last 4 or 5, I think 5 now, have been fantastic. So, hey, Nick Frosto, we know he has the crossfire, the big fastball. The fastball the other day wasn't great in velo. I think it was around 94, but the velo had been ticking up coming into that outing. The slider is really good. And so I think the short burst in the bullpen, I think he's getting close. I would not be surprised the next time the Dodgers need an arm. I would not be surprised if that arm was not Nick Frosto that the Dodgers chose to bring up. 4 relief outings in a row, and in 7 of his 8 this month, Nick Frosto has gone scoreless. So very unique properties to him. Very exciting to see Nick Frosto pitching as well. Released his interview last week. So if you want to check that out, he talks all about his mix and the injury, the shoulder injury, coming back off it, and how he expects to ramp up in terms of pitch count towards the end of the year. So check that out if you want to know a little bit more, find out a little bit more about Nick Frosto and how he's doing right now. Last night, Matt Sauer. We know Sauer's that up-down guy. I think he has one more option. So the Dodgers can, I think, option him one more time. Then they would have to DFA him to send him back down. So they're going to have to be selective when they bring him back up, because I think they only have one more time they can send him back down before they would then have to DFA him. But Matt Sauer had a really nice night last night. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, ERA down to 3.77. So he had 4 really rough outings coming into last night, including his 9-run outing with LA. So it was really good to see his bounce back last night for Matt Sauer. He's a guy that like Landon Knack had an outing the other day. He's a guy the Dodgers will bring back up at some point. It's just a matter of when. And here's a guy that I know a lot of people want the Dodgers to bring up at the AAA level. Esteury Ruiz had 3 hits last night, 2 RBIs. Average for Esteury Ruiz right now, 288, OPS 817. Back-to-back 2-hit games. He's 6 for the last 10, and he's hitting 328. And he leads the PCL in stolen bases with 35, and he's 7th in runs scored. So Esteury Ruiz is making that decision difficult on the Dodgers in terms of should they leave him down in AAA or should they bring him up and give him his shot at the major league level. And another young man who every time he goes to AAA makes the decision-making tough on the Dodgers because he just plays great every time he's in AAA. And I know you're going to say, well, every time he comes back up, it's not great, and I can't argue with that. The first time he went up was good. Last couple of times, he hasn't had great runway, but he also hasn't produced. I get that. But every time he's in AAA, he does, which says to me that if you give him the runway long enough to get comfortable, if you look at the beginning of this year, AAA, it wasn't good. It took him about a month to get going, and then once he did, he's been really good from then. So that just shows you he needs that leash and runway. Probably not ever going to get that with the Dodgers. Who knows? Maybe he's a trade guy. So what you need to root for with him, just do the best he can at the AAA level. Maybe the Dodgers can either use him at the major league level or make him as marketable as possible for another team to pick up and get something, a nice piece back for him. So 17th home run. You saw the opposite field bullpen, 3 RBIs in back-to-back games. Outman now has hit a home run for AAA Oklahoma City. He's hitting 273, OPS 924, and he's 6 for his last 10 with a double and 2 home runs. So that's going to do it for today's edition of Dodgers Daily Down the Farm. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I'd just give you one last reminder that you Dodgers dog fans are the best crowd out there, smartest crowd, no doubt about it. I thank you every time so much for all of for you guys watching and for all the great comments you leave. So until next time, which will be on Wednesday, probably Wednesday, actually probably Thursday morning with Mark Watkins. We'll go over all the Dodgers dog things, maybe tonight for a live show with Austin if we can get that going. But just look out for that if we can get the live show tonight. Definitely tomorrow with Mark. We'll go over all the action from tonight's games in the system. So until then, one last reminder, it's a great day to be a Dodger.